36 Sultans, 600 years, the rise and fall of the Ottoman Empire. For over 6 centuries, they ruled with might and majesty. From a humble frontier warrior named Osman, to the last sultan forced into exile, 36 men wore the crown of the Ottoman Empire. They rose from the rugged plains of Anatolia to build an empire that stretched across 3 continents. They conquered cities, built mosques that kissed the sky, and shaped the destiny of millions. But every empire has its twilight. Behind the golden domes and glorious victories lay betrayals, defeats, and a slow, painful decline. This is the story of each sultan, their triumphs, their failures, and their legacy. This is the rise and fall of the Ottoman Empire, told through the lives of its 36 rulers. Osman I, 1299 to 1326. Osman first founded the Ottoman dynasty. His reign marked the beginning of territorial expansion into Byzantine lands. Osman established the foundations of the empire's administration and military traditions. He captured key fortresses such as Bilecik and Yaisar, setting the stage for future conquests. Orhan Ghazi, 1326 to 1362. Orhan expanded Ottoman territories in northwestern Anatolia and crossed into Europe for the first time by capturing Gallipoli in 1354. He established the first Ottoman standing army and began coinage. Orhan's rule laid the groundwork for the Ottoman presence in the Balkans. Murad I, 1362 to 1389. Murad first centralized power and expanded deep into the Balkans, capturing Edirne and making it the new capital. He established the Janissary Corps in 1363. Murad died at the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, marking a turning point in Ottoman history. Bayezid I, 1389 to 1402. Bayezid I, known as Yildirim, the Thunderbolt, continued expansion into the Balkans and Anatolia. He defeated the Crusader army at the Battle of Nicopolis in 1396. However, in 1402, he suffered a major defeat by Tamerlane at the Battle of Ankara, leading to his capture and imprisonment, which caused a civil war known as the Ottoman Interregnum. Mehmed I, 1413 to 1421. After the Ottoman Interregnum, Mehmed I restored unity to the empire. He focused on rebuilding the state and stabilizing the government after years of civil war. Mehmed I also dealt with revolts and strengthened Ottoman control over the Balkans and Anatolia, laying the groundwork for future expansions. Murad II, 1421 to 1444 and 1446 to 1451. Murad II faced both internal rebellions and external threats. He fought against the Crusaders at the Battle of Varna in 1444 and later at the Second Battle of Kosovo in 1448, both ending in Ottoman victories. Murad II abdicated briefly in favor of his son Mehmed II but returned to the throne until his death in 1451. Mehmed II, 1451 to 1481. Mehmed II, known as Mehmed the Conqueror, captured Constantinople in 1453, ending the Byzantine Empire. He transformed the city into the Ottoman capital, Istanbul. Mehmed expanded the empire into the Balkans and Anatolia and implemented administrative reforms that strengthened central authority. Bayezid II, 1481 to 1512. Bayezid II focused on internal stability and consolidation. He welcomed Jewish refugees fleeing the Spanish Inquisition in 1492, settling them in Ottoman lands. His reign saw relative peace but also internal power struggles, especially with his son Selim. Bayezid eventually abdicated in favor of Selim I. Selim I, 1512 to 1520. Selim I, known as Selim the Grim, greatly expanded the empire into the Middle East. He defeated the Safavids at the Battle of Chaldiran, 1514, and conquered the Mamluk Sultanate, bringing Egypt, Syria, and the Hijaz under Ottoman control. Selim's victories made the Ottomans guardians of the Islamic holy cities. Suleiman the Magnificent, 1520 to 1566. Suleiman I, called the Magnificent in the west and the Lawgiver in the east, presided over the empire's golden age. He expanded Ottoman territory into Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. His legal reforms shaped Ottoman law for centuries. The Siege of Vienna in 1529 and the Battle of Mohacs in 1526 were notable events of his reign. Selim II, 1566 to 1574. Selim II, known as Selim the Sot, was the first Ottoman Sultan who did not personally lead military campaigns. During his reign, the Ottomans captured Cyprus in 1571 but suffered a major naval defeat at the Battle of Lepanto the same year. His reign marked the beginning of increased palace and harem influence over state affairs. Murad III, 1574 to 1595. Murad III expanded Ottoman influence in the Caucasus and engaged in a prolonged war with Persia known as the Ottoman Safavid War, 1578 to 1590. His reign witnessed a cultural and artistic boom but also political corruption, inflation, and increased power of the harem in political matters. Mehmed III, 1595 to 1603. Mehmed III is known for ordering the execution of 19 of his brothers upon his accession to the throne to secure his rule. He personally led the army during the Long Turkish War and achieved victory at the Battle of Carystus, 1596. His reign was marked by instability and Janissary unrest. Ahmed I, 1603 to 1617. Ahmed I is best remembered for commissioning the famous Sultan Ahmed Mosque, also known as the Blue Mosque, in Istanbul. His reign included continued wars with Persia and the Habsburgs, along with efforts to restore internal stability. Ahmed I reduced the tradition of fratricide among Ottoman princes. Mustafa I, 1617 to 1618 and 1622 to 1623. Mustafa I ruled twice, both times marked by political instability and mental health concerns. Deposed and reinstated, his reigns were dominated by factional struggles within the palace and rising Janissary power. His inability to govern effectively made his reigns short-lived. Osman II, 1618 to 1622. Osman II attempted significant military and administrative reforms, especially concerning the Janissaries. After the failed campaign at Chatan, 1621, tensions with the Janissaries increased. His plans to reform and replace them led to his overthrow and assassination in 1622. Murad IV, 1623 to 1640. Murad IV restored central authority with strict rule. He personally led a successful campaign to capture Baghdad in 1638 during the Ottoman Safavid War. His reign is also remembered for harsh laws banning alcohol, tobacco, and coffee in Istanbul, with severe punishments for violators. Ibrahim I, 1640 to 1648. Known as Ibrahim the Mad, Ibrahim's first rule was characterized by erratic behavior and extravagant spending. His mismanagement led to widespread unrest. In 1645, the Ottomans began the long Cretan War against Venice, capturing parts of Crete. Ibrahim was deposed and executed in 1648. Mehmed IV, 1648 to 1687. Mehmed IV, known as Mehmed the Hunter, was more interested in hunting than politics. During his reign, the Ottomans fought the Long Cretan War, eventually capturing Crete in 1669. His rule also witnessed the failed siege of Vienna in 1683, which marked the beginning of Ottoman military decline in Europe. Suleiman II, 1687 to 1691. Suleiman II ascended the throne during a period of military crisis after the defeat at Vienna. He focused on reorganizing the army and finances. Under his leadership, the Ottomans achieved a temporary victory at the Battle of Slankamen in 1691, but his reign remained short and turbulent. Ahmed II, 1691 to 1695. Ahmed II ruled during a time of continued war with the Habsburgs. The Ottomans suffered heavy defeats, losing important territories in Hungary. Despite his efforts to stabilize the empire, Ahmed II's reign was marked by military decline and territorial losses. Mustafa II, 1695 to 1703. Mustafa II tried to reclaim lost territories but faced continued defeats. His reign saw the signing of the Treaty of Karlowitz in 1699, where the Ottomans ceded large areas of Central Europe. The treaty marked a major turning point in Ottoman territorial loss. Ahmed III, 1703 to 1730. Ahmed III's reign is known as the Tulip Era, a period of cultural flourishing and diplomatic engagement with Europe. However, rising dissatisfaction among the Janissaries and the public led to the Patrona Halil revolt in 1730, forcing Ahmed III to abdicate. Mahmud I, 1730 to 1754. Mahmud I came to power after the Patrona Halil revolt. His reign was marked by wars against Persia and the Austrians. He successfully defended Ottoman territories and maintained relative stability. Mahmud I was also a patron of arts and architecture. Osman III, 1754 to 1757. Osman III had a brief and quiet reign. Having lived in isolation for decades, he disliked public ceremonies and contact with officials. Despite his short rule, he focused on internal administrative reforms and improved naval infrastructure. Mustafa III, 1757 to 1774. Mustafa III attempted military and administrative reforms to strengthen the empire. He modernized the army and sought to reduce corruption. His reign saw the start of the Russo-Turkish War, 1768 to 1774, which ended with Ottoman defeat at the Treaty of Kusuk-Kaynarca. Abdul Hamid I, 1774 to 1789. Abdul Hamid I's reign began after the disastrous Treaty of Kusuk-Kaynarca. He focused on rebuilding the army and government institutions. However, the Ottomans suffered further defeats in wars with Russia and Austria. Abdul Hamid I worked to reform the empire's weakened administration. Salim III, 1789 to 1807. Salim III is remembered for his ambitious reform program, the Nizam-i-Sadid, New Order, which aimed to modernize the army and state institutions. However, his reforms faced fierce resistance from the Janissaries, leading to his deposition and execution in 1808. Mustafa IV, 1807 to 1808. Mustafa IV's brief reign was marked by political turmoil and palace intrigue. He opposed reforms initiated by Selim III and was eventually deposed after a Janissary revolt. His reign ended tragically with his execution in 1808. Mehmed II, 1808 to 1839. Mehmed II is known for major reforms, including the abolition of the Janissary Corps in 1826 during the Auspicious Incident. He modernized the Ottoman military, administration, and education system, paving the way for further modernization in the Tanzimat era. Abdülmecid I, 1839 to 1861. Abdülmecid I launched the Tanzimat reforms, a comprehensive modernization program aimed at restructuring the empire's legal and administrative systems to secure equality and modernization in a changing world. Abdulaziz, 1861 to 1876. Abdulaziz continued the modernization efforts, expanding the navy and infrastructure. However, his reign ended with economic troubles and political dissatisfaction, culminating in his deposition in 1876. Murad V, 1876. Murad V ruled for only 93 days before being deposed due to mental illness. His brief reign was overshadowed by political instability and factional struggles within the empire. Abdul Hamid II, 1876 to 1909. Abdul Hamid II's reign saw the decline of Ottoman power amid nationalist uprisings and European pressure. He suspended the constitution and ruled autocratically but invested in infrastructure and education. His era ended with the Young Turk Revolution. Mehmed V, 1909 to 1918. Mehmed V reigned during the turbulent years of the Balkan Wars and World War I. Though a largely symbolic figure, his reign saw the empire's involvement in major conflicts that hastened its decline. Mehmed VI, 1918 to 1922. Mehmed VI was the last Ottoman Sultan. His reign ended with the abolition of the Sultanate in 1922 following the Turkish War of Independence. He went into exile, marking the definitive end of the Ottoman Empire.